A low-end severe weather threat continues to pinpoint itself across southwest lower Michigan between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. In this video, I'm going to talk about the extent of that threat. It does look to be pretty low-end, and then also the cooler weather that is going to follow this severe weather setup. Hello everybody, the time is 6:12 p.m. and it is October 26th. Welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather. This is a video of some of the fall colors over down in Leonidas, Michigan. Some pretty colors out there, and it's definitely looking like peak fall season across Michigan. Definitely late for this time of the year, but this is some of the fall colors that are currently present there. And I think a lot of these leaves are going to start to really fall. You see what I did there? Start to fall as this cold front begins to move through tomorrow afternoon. Now, we were talking about this at the beginning of the week. It was kind of a question of how intense this setup will be. Again, I think the threat's going to be rather low end, but it is surprising still, given the fact that we are quite late in the fall season for a setup like this. So it is still worth chasing. It looks like to be mainly a damaging wind threat with this. Tornadoes and hail don't really look probable, but still something we are going to be talking about, and something also the SPC has actually begun to hint at in their latest discussion as well. So this is the day 2 convective outlook. This is for tomorrow. As you can see right now, there isn't really a risk area outlined for any part of Michigan. I think that may change a little bit as we get into the morning hours tomorrow. I do think they will likely issue at least a marginal risk across this portion of the Great Lakes region. And I'll explain why that is with the models. I mean, not going to speak for the SPC, but here's what their discussion is saying for our area. So again, deep convection can be sustained across the mid-Mississippi Valley into the Great Lakes. Effective shear of 25 to 35 knots could support a strong storm or two, though weak instability should generally limit the severe threat. Now, the instability, yes, it's rather weak, but if you get into the fall time, instability values anywhere over 500 usually can generally support a threat for severe weather, given the fact that, again, these low pressure systems typically have stronger wind shear embedded with them. This is kind of the year we get into the higher levels of wind shear. So that is something that could possibly foster more stronger storms with this setup. Now, the question is coverage. The coverage, I don't think is going to be that much. I think it's going to be just like one nice band of stronger thunderstorms, a very slim band of stronger thunderstorms associated with the strong cold front, moving into a favorable environment with elevated levels of instability. And I mean, there's going to be enough heat. Temperatures are going to be in the 70s. Dew points are going to be in the 60s. So it's going to be one of those final severe weather events before we start to really see the cooler, snowier weather begin to take hold. So again, currently not showing any severe thunderstorm area. I do think that might change come in the next couple of next several hours once they release their next update with around 1:30 in the morning. So we'll have to see what that looks like. But let's take a look at exactly what they are showing with these models. Let me get out of this forecast GIF thing here. So again, we've had rain quite a bit of the day. There's been a break in the rain across portions of Michigan. I'm going to focus a lot on Michigan because Michigan is kind of the main spot where we're going to see this hazard. Indiana, sure, you might have the potential at seeing some, but I do think that Michigan, southwest Michigan in particular, is going to be kind of that pinpoint area where we see greater storm coverage. There's going to be more favorable wind shear, I believe, in that region. So let's go into Friday. Again, this is Friday at about 8 a.m. So you can see that there isn't really much going on Friday morning at about 8 a.m. You can see that cold front kind of back here, and you're going to start to see how that changes and develops in the afternoon, okay, as we get into about 4 p.m., 5 p.m.-ish. You can kind of see those initial cells starting to pop up. You notice that these cells over here are having some difficulty popping up, and I think that has a little bit to do with a less favorable environment for stronger thunderstorms. You got more of the wind shear focused up in parts of Michigan rather than part down in Indiana or areas farther to the south, which is why I think this is going to be mainly a Michigan event, southwest Michigan event. Again, if you look at the severe weather dynamics for some of this setup, surface-based CAPE values, again, the CAPE, more instability is going to be heavily focused around Michigan. Instability is going to be a little bit less down in these regions down here. You have higher stability focused up in Michigan. And it goes across much of the entire lower peninsula, in fact. So definitely, but again, I think the prime setup is going to be in southwest lower Michigan because as we get into the afternoon hours, much of the storms that are going to be going over Michigan on the eastern side will likely be crossing the lake. The storms that will probably have the most coverage of land mass across Michigan is going to be in the southern portion. So I think that southern portion of Michigan is going to be the place to target. I'm definitely going to be targeting this area in southwest Michigan. There's not really going to be much time with daylight with this storm setup, but I'm going to be in Kalamazoo, St. Joseph County, maybe going to Cass and Van Buren counties. These storms will also be moving rather quick, so it's going to be hard to keep up with them, but it's still, if we could find a nice open area to watch these storms on their approach, that's kind of the goal, and then also record some wind data with this setup. Because, again, October 22nd, you really don't see a setup like this as often. So that's kind of the thing that we're going to be watching carefully with this setup here. This is from the latest model of the HRRR. Again, you look at the lapse rates. Lapse rates are also a little bit steeper in Michigan than compared to Indiana and Ohio. Not that lapse rates are that much of an issue with this setup, but again, the lapse rates do appear to be a little bit steeper as you get over portions of Michigan. You look at the dew point with this setup. Dew points are going to be in the mid-60s across much of the Great Lakes region, so it is abnormally humid for this time of the year. Lightning flash density. Now you look at this, there's not really going to be too much lightning with this, not really as much as favorable of a setup for lightning here. It's really just going to be that threat for maybe some damaging winds associated with this storm setup. Supercell composite, the potential for some supercells, again, is more elevated across Michigan, given the more favorable environment, the higher instability, the higher wind shear, and then even also a slightly steeper lapse rate may contribute to a more favorable setup. Updraft velocity really not present. You don't really see strong updrafts with these, but again, nice linear setup for storms that could produce some damaging winds associated with this. Hodographs, you look at the hodographs here and you can kind of see it does have that, it has a little bit of curvature in it, but again, that tornado threat is likely not going to present itself. I think, again, you kind of notice the hodographs are kind of going straight out. That's more of a damaging wind type view for these kinds of storms. So let's go back to the surface and precipitation. We're going back to zooming in on Michigan because that's really the focus of this setup here, I believe. And again, it's a low-end setup, and it's going to be rather isolated, which, again, they may not issue a marginal risk for it because of that. It's going to be very isolated. It's likely going to just really focus itself in this smaller area of Michigan here. So you see that they're in Kalamazoo County by as early as 6 p.m. They begin development right off the lake in Van Buren County, Berrien County, Cass County, even one up towards Grand Rapids, Mount Pleasant area. And you start to see that really they focus down in this region. You get a sounding just to the south of this one cell, just south of Kalamazoo. Marginal sphere potential you see, Cape values of about 800, 3 Cape values of 44. Look how low those cloud bases are, quite low. And then you look, there is good speed shear with these storms. And there's really instability as you go all the way up towards the tops of these clouds. These cloud bases are not, or these tops of these clouds are not very high, but they are quite low. Storm relativity is in the 100s. So there is conditions favorable for damaging winds with this, but it looks like it's going to be relatively isolated in nature. You go a little bit farther out ahead, view the environment that's out ahead of these storms. Again, kind of a similar scenario. Hodographs look relatively the same, and pretty much all other dynamics do look quite similar as we look at these storms as they move through. So at 6 p.m., they reach Kalamazoo County, and then it really looks like they start to weaken across southern Michigan around 8 p.m. when it's dark. And then as you get into eastern parts of Michigan, it is interesting. You do see, again, similar setup across eastern Michigan as we get into the evening and overnight hours, because the sunset does set quite a bit earlier with these storms as they will come in. So this is the one last, I'd say, severe weather event prior to the arrival of winter. So, I mean, I can't confirm that for sure, but it really looks like things will, with severe weather, will begin to wind down following this event. So, let's look ahead at exactly what might take place beyond this storm setup. Now, don't let the blues and purples scare you. Actually, if you don't like snow, do let them scare you. So, here we go. Here's this cold front that's going to be moving through this tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. You notice that it's going to bring a stark drop in temperatures overnight, especially across areas to the northwest. Look how cold the wind chills are going to get across the Dakotas, the single digits. So we're starting to see that change to more winter-like temperatures up there. And you kind of see this cold front kind of stalls over this region. That's something that's going to be expected. There will probably be some chances of rain on Sunday again as well, because you got a series of low-pressure systems still moving through as this cold front slowly progresses to the southeast. But as it progresses, you do notice that colder air is also going to progress along with it. By the time we get into Monday morning, wind chills are going to be in the 20s across portions of northwest Indiana and all of Michigan. Now you look in Ohio, temperature's still a little bit warmer. That cold front's still progressing through. We're actually going to go back to the temperature view here. I think that would be a bit more helpful for us here. You do notice that temperatures will get down to freezing. I think there's likely going to be a widespread freeze across the Great Lakes region come Monday night into Tuesday, and then an even colder freeze, which could lead to a hard freeze on Tuesday night into Wednesday. So that's kind of the thing to be watching out for here. Widespread freeze ending the growing season at least by November 1st. So Halloween's going to be chilly, and I am going to say that there is the possibility that we could see a rain-snow mix Halloween afternoon, or the evening of Halloween. So let's take a look at that real quick with the Euro model. Again, this is the current time. If we progress it forward, you'll see that cold front that moves through, showing consistency on the models here. It shows it moving a little bit faster than the other one, but that'll progress through. That cold front will kind of stall, and then you got the second low pressure system. There's some snow developing across Minnesota, Wisconsin. Looks like it's going to start kind of transition mainly to rain as we get to the peninsula. That could possibly be due to the warmer lake temperatures that could contribute to more rainfall setup. And then you've got that system moving through. It looks like the brunt of the rain for that system is going to focus itself in southern Indiana, southern Ohio. So that's something to expect for Sunday night to Monday, that rainfall. Then the cold front finally moves through, and then you see this low pressure system coming from the north, and it kind of clips our area, possibly bringing us, first of all, some snow showers associated with the system snow, and then you also have the lake effect on the back side. That could be a lake effect mix. So I'm going to freeze frame it on this time here and take a look at snow accumulations. Now, very important to mention here, snow accumulations are probably not going to occur. There's probably not going to be any snow accumulations across Michigan. The reason why that is again, the ground temperatures are still probably going to be too warm. Okay, but you do see that if snow were to accumulate, you can kind of see some values comparable to 2 inches along the lakeshore to 5 inches even in parts of northern Michigan. I really think it is highly unlikely that there is accumulations near what this is projecting. So I don't think there's going to be any accumulation in southern Michigan. There might be a little accumulation across parts of northern Michigan, but I highly doubt it. So again, that low pressure system is going to cause some snowfall to occur. Let's go back to the precipitation graphic real quick, and we'll see where we're going from there. That snow is not going to last too long. It passes through, but it is going to make things a little bit cooler, and then eventually we'll start to see the arrival of a warmer air mass that kind of settles back into our area as we get into early November. So that's kind of the breakdown of the weather over the next week. I will be out storm chasing tomorrow. This setup for thunderstorms probably in this region right around here, and the expectation is that there will likely be some possible damaging wind gusts that will be isolated in nature across this region. So that's what's going on. Make sure to subscribe. I'm going to be live out on the roads around probably 3:30 or so on tomorrow, and then I'll probably be out there until about 6 or probably until about 7:15, 7:30. And again, it gets too dark to chase after a little while. You won't begin to see that much afterwards. So I'll be out chasing tomorrow, and hopefully I will see you all there.